both of the teams are pretty ready for now. So let's just get the game right underway. Do note that we will have Dracarys on the blue side, and we're gonna be seeing Qifei on the red side. So Qifei obviously being on the red side will have the first ban.
Yep. Are we still gonna see the standard first few bans?
Grok, yeah. Grok's a pretty good hero. Like
I always love Grok on my team simply just because of a high initial burst. Straight away you go down mid lane, you clear the way fast. Straight away you can rotate down either to the opponent's buff or straight away take your own buff, and then from there maybe you move on to the gold buff from there. And then so all in all, I always love to see Grok being in play. We see a lot of bans, tanks being banned. So now I think we only have Minotaur and
Gacha.
Yeah.
Esmeralda's inside as well. Like Esmeralda, a lot of people find her as a tank. I don't really think so. Like she's kind of described as a tank mage, but if you look at the way she's working, she's kind of like an assassin. Like a lot of players pick her up, go as an assassin, dive on the back line, you know, take away the shield. Because if you look at the description of Esmeralda, yep, she's a tank. But if you lock a tank down like Esmeralda, then she gets caught as well. She's not as tanky as Grog, she's not as tanky as Qifei, she's definitely not as tanky as Tigreal as well, which is one of the heroes that we saw last week. But coming in, we see Harith getting banned out. So obviously Kaja getting banned out as well. Like you said, a lot of focus onto tank bans, just because they are very good initiators.
Lunox first pick.
Your team is
kind of expected.
We'll definitely see a Lunox. But the hero that I want to talk about is Kimi. We haven't seen a Kimi pick in like months?
Yeah,
which is pretty weird because
she just got buffed again. This batch.
This current batch, she got buffed. I think her magic scaling got buffed as well in the first
just by a little bit of damage here and there. But we see straight away Odette and Minotaur being picked up here. What do you think about Johnson though?
I think Johnson is, in my personal opinion, he's not a bad hero, but his cooldown is just too much to be effective throughout the entirety of the game.
Understand.
He needs a lot of EXP to get to level 4. I mean, every hero needs a lot of EXP to get to level 4, but the cooldown on it is just too long to be a game changer. On top of that, you have to land on the right target. You have to bring an ally with you as well. Make no mistake, he's a really tanky hero, but just that in my personal opinion, there's a lot of better tanks out there. In one case, it will be Minotaur, but one hero I want to point out is Odette. We haven't really seen her throughout this, throughout all the competitions that we have been casting for.
That's why I bring out Johnson as well, because normally I see Odette and Minotaur being, Odette and Johnson being played together.
That's a very old school meta as well.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you know, the Johnson Odette, the wombo combo. But we see a Ruby Gan take out, so a lot of AOE control coming out from the side of Qifei, which is not so surprising. Like I mentioned, a lot of these heroes nowadays are focused on high mobility. So obviously having the AoE control allows you to push towers as well. The fear of the Minions roll, Minions Fury coming in from Minotaur is one consideration for the Dracarys side to handle, especially if they want to defend. But they have the fear of Odette, they have the fear of Ruby, they have the fear of Minotaur as well. There's just so much AoE control to think of.
Yeah, definitely. So and then we see a carry being bent out here. So what carries what MMs are we left with? We only have possibly we're gonna see Moskov again.
Claude getting picked up as well.
Claude already got picked up.
Yeah, we spoke about Claude being high mobility. So I kind of like the Leomord picked up as well. I assume that Leomord will be playing on the top lane. We're gonna see Lunox onto the mid, and we're gonna see the Claude on the bottom side, which is really good. I prefer that.
They kind of got their lanes all pushed out already. Now we're gonna see like possibly a tank pick here being Arkai, possibly another support, or we could even go more AoE control. I feel that they need more AoE control at this point to counter Qifei's draft actually. So
I like Arkai's pickup though, because looking at the AoE control that Qifei kind of has, Arkai would make perfect sense, because you kind of put everyone on the side of Qifei out of position. You kind of bring Odette out of her ultimate as well. Minotaur kind of has to focus on getting Arkai in, and so this, I mean, it's a really good counter draft. And speaking of Johnson, we see Johnson getting picked up on the side of Dracarys as well. The question is, are we going to see? Are we going to see a Dark Tank pull through? Oh, Hanabi pickup will be good as well.
Hanabi will be quite decent here as a last pick.
Oh, but they choose to go for the Granger, which is not too bad as well. Granger pushes towers really quickly. And with the combination of Ruby as well, whoever gets caught out, I really like Qifei's draft. My question is, can they pull to the late game where we see Granger become really effective? Like, the thing about Granger is that his crit hurts a lot towards the late game. but he needs to get there. Like like most
Yeah,
MMs,
yeah,
like Claude,
so.
most of the MMs need to get to the late game in order to become effective. So if Qifei can pull towards the middle to late game, I think they will be good just because of the CC that they have. Question is, will Dracarys be able to handle it with the Johnson and Arkai being able to put Qifei's draft out of position? With that being said, that is the draft that we're gonna have. Claude, Lunox, Arkai, Leomord, and Johnson gonna be playing on the side of Dracarys. While for Qifei, they're gonna be running with the Minotaur, Ruby, Minsita, Odette, and Granger. Which of these heroes do you think will be a game changer?
Definitely. So I would definitely see that clock being very, very important. The momentum of the clock definitely would determine how the game will run. The Lunox and the clock on the side of Dracarys, heavily just because of they having two tanks. Very, very big support on how their core players play. Okay, we're gonna see how at the top lane how Leomord is going to play, because we see Turtle actually being spawning at the top side first. So we're gonna see how the heroes rotate, how the early rotations in the early 2 minutes is gonna strongly, for me, is going to determine how the momentum of the game will be.
Right, we're going to see the Granger going in the mid lane with Minotaur as well. Something that has always been an ongoing debate is, do you put the mage or MM down? There used to be a meta where we always saw, the MMs going down the mid lane just because you want to get as far as possible, put to the late game. But towards the recent times, I would say in the last couple of months, we have been seeing a lot of mages down the mid, because you want to get the mid, or rather you want to get the mage down to level 4 as quickly as possible.
Definitely.
And then once she has the ultimate, she has the highest burst, right?
Yeah.
Definitely her burst will be a lot higher than the MM, especially in the early stages of the game. So the quicker your mage down gets to level 4, the faster she can rotate, the faster you can gang onto the side lanes as well. So I'm interested to see between these two teams which method will play out better.
Yeah, definitely. So because heavy emphasis on being level 4, that's a huge amount of burst damage coming through for you, and because of that, that's why mages start to play down the mid lane first, and then your MM, who possibly need about 2 items, I would say about 5k net worth, and then you start to really come online. So that's one thing that I always look out for, and that's why you see a lot of marksmen going down to bottom lane instead.
Right, obviously you have an MM on the side lane, that's a worry as well, because you can't leave his side lane.
Yeah.
MMs push down towers so quickly, so that's a really good meta to think of. But then again, having the MM down the middle may not be too bad of an idea, because Granger can rotate really quick, right? Granger's skills kind of act like a mage, especially with the crit as well. But now we see both of them level 4. Minotaur could be going for the Minoan's Fury as well, but Arkai still level 3. That's going to be a really big deciding factor in the next team fight.
Yep. So we actually see Odette and Minotaur, they are still taking the buff. Okay, they actually gave a bit of damage towards Leonard, taking away the top tier 1. Now straight away we see a rotation down into the turtle straight away. Thing without anybody scouting, and then actually 4 heroes are not on the map. So this could.
Right, it kind of points to the fact that something could be going on,
yes,
right?
correct,
like obviously a turtle is getting taken. Minsita finds out, but it's a little bit too late right now. And that's just really good map awareness, or rather rotation coming from Dracarys as well. They clear up the middle and top lane. They kind of give the aggression, but it looks like Lunos could be going in. Arkai hesitating to go in right now. Minsita comes out with the King's Landing, removes Lunox immediately, and looks like we're going to have one remaining member. Minoan's Fury, we're going to secure the kill. And first 3 kills going in the way of Qifei. That's a really quick engagement right there on the top lane.
Yeah, I think they didn't see the 2 heroes rotate down from middle lane, so they were gone on the map for about, I would say, about half a minute or so, and because of that, they thought that they actually could get the heroes on top lane, having momentum from the turtle, but it actually turns out that these are actually a 4 heroes rotation down to the top lane.
And immediately they have already cancelled out the, I would say, the goal lead that, Qifei had
from the
yeah, correct.
Well.
So
we see actually Claude using his ulti early. I think that was a misplay there. They actually tried to bring the Claude over to the Ruby, but he didn't went into the car as well.
Ruby has just so much sustain. I mean, if she does manage to outlast the ultimate coming in from the Claude, then Claude is caught in a tough position as well, because Ruby can kind of lock him down in one place. So I'm sure that Roti Prata has to be careful of that. But meanwhile, we see aggression coming in. The Steep being summoned by Zelos, but takes out too much damage. King's Land is going to come out as well. If he gets the Glory Spear, he's going to get the kill. Zolas will back off for now, thanks to his ultimate.
Yeah, that was definitely close. Too close for comfort there. A kill there would mean that actually you force heroes down to the top lane. Actually, we see the movement down from the Lunox and the Johnson as well. I believe Johnson's ability is still on cooldown, so they can't actually do ulti over down to the Minotaur.
Right, I'm pretty interested to see how this game will play out, because 4 minutes in, we still see a lot of passive gameplay coming out from both sides. We haven't seen much aggressive rotation. We haven't seen like any major turret, sieging as well, except for the bot lane. We're talking about the bot lane. We see a kill coming from Granger as well. That's the burst coming out from Granger in the early stages as well.
That's good momentum play actually by the Granger.
That's good rotation as well. Like Odette has decent amount of CC. Like I said, she has low mobility, but she has really decent amount of CC. Johnson coming in with the landing, and he will get onto 2. But Misita on the backfire. Remember, this is right under turret of Qifei, and they turn this fight instantly right around. Sets Ultima running on the spot, but the Minotaur's Fury will come through. They bring down the Lunox, and they get another 3 kill. They only lose the Misita, but they could lose this turret as well.
Yep. So we're gonna see them probably rotating down to Turtle from here, because Turtle spawns on the top lane once again. They even save the tower. Now you actually need your heroes from the blue team coming up to top lane to secure the tower later on again. So I believe we're gonna see a Turtle pick up here by the red team.
Qifei is just so focused on taking, or rather the lanes, that they're not going for Turtle.
Yeah,
but
we see actually Granger rotating up to the Turtle actually. So we have Ruby in the bush ready to spring up on anybody that comes along. So we actually see teams from the blue team moving down mid lane instead. So I think they're unaware that the Turtle is going on.
Overall, I would say, Qifei just has a better rotation, but they have to step up the aggression, because towards the late game, as Roti Plata, who's playing that Claude, as he gets fatter and fatter throughout the game, the momentum will start to swing, towards Dracarys' side, just because they have the Claude. But talking about Claude, we're gonna see the Lunox getting put in through the Johnson. Ultimate coming in for a dead as well. A little bit of trouble coming in from Minotaur, who's followed up with the Minotaur's Fury, gets the triple stun. And Archive with the Hurricane Dance, but it could be a little bit too late. 3 heroes down already. Blazing Duet comes out from the Claude as well, but Ruby gonna pull him right under it. And they get a team ace instantly from Qifei.
So that was a bit questionable for me, because Claude, I believe, was still farming down bottom. He was trying to push up bot lane, and then straight away the Johnson actually went in
with the rapid touchdown.
Yes, correct. So he actually got seen moving in. So actually, Team Red was ready to make the counter play with the Odette, with the ulti as well.
Right. The thing about Johnson is that you need the element of surprise, right? You need your rapid touchdown to land at the most unpredictable timing, and that's where you have the edge.
And the angle is important as well. Which angle do you come in from? Do you come in from the side lane, from the bushes where you don't get seen, but coming down straight away from the mid lane, in range of the opponent's vision? That's definitely a play you do not want to make, I believe.
Right, we did mention a little bit that Qifei had the battle team fight in terms of CC, in terms of disables as well, and we kind of see it kind of pulling through, just because you saw the rapid touchdown being pulled out by the Johnson, but instantly King's Landing being laid out, the Odette's ultimate as well, and you see all this AoE control just being such a hassle for the side of Dracarys to handle with. And we're going to see a gank onto the top line as well. Once again, rapid touchdown being used, but King's Landing will be available. But Granger is more than enough, as they're going to bring the Archive down pretty soon. The Creed coming in as well. Leomord, going to be the only remaining survivor alongside the Lunox, but Lunox instantly deleted. And Leomord will be sent running for his life. Another 3 kills coming from Qifei, and they didn't even have the Minsita in that fight as well.
I think if you're Dracarys right now, the Johnson got to be landing his ulti on the Granger, because the Granger is simply doing way too much damage. It's only 8 minutes into the game, but I believe he's already up by about 3k net worth at this point.
Right,
so
and 8 minutes in, we only see the Claude just pick up his first major attack item, the Demon Hunter Sword, and he's just so far behind compared to, I mean, just look at what Granger has already. He has the Bloodlet Axe, he has the Blade of Despair as well. There's just so much indifference, and they're going to find another gang onto the bot lane.
Yep, definitely. So we see actually blue team, they are still moving down mid lane. They are getting picked off one by one. They are not taking control of the map.
And right now, because Minotaur's Fury getting pulled right through, and rapid touchdown, it could be a little bit too late. Dracarys, they're going to focus onto Johnson right here. Minotaur's Fury gets put in as well. Archive going to be hesitating on this one. Blazing Duet being used, but you see this Ruby just jumping right into it. Don't run, Wolf, being pulled out as well. Archive with the Hurricane Dance will put Ruby in a really tough spot right on turret, but the pull comes through from Spear of Glory. They managed to find another kill, and that's just 2 quick kills coming inside for Qifei, and they definitely can take the middle turret right now.
Yeah, so Claude only having the Demon's Hunter Sword alone is not enough. You definitely need your Golden Staff up before you can actually start doing substantial damage down to the red team. So we actually see just red team controlling the map now, taking away the buffs, having full control of the map. They even still have all their tier 1 standing 9 minutes into the game, so that leaves them at a very, very big advantage. They can just keep farming, keep putting pressure on the opponent team as well. We see actually all of them having
But just look at the difference. The goal graph has never been in Dracarys' favor as well. Obviously, we would like to see that change, but for now, it is still Qifei who's kind of controlling the momentum of the game. Like you mentioned, they have the map control as well, and not on top of that, they have just so much more economy. And I'm just a little bit worried for the side of Dracarys. If you're Dracarys, you know, what we suggest doing now, because they can't really move out the turret's range, the jungle is just getting taken away, and Qifei is just stepping up the aggression from here.
Yeah, you need to have Claude moving in down the side lanes, putting pressure on the opponent side lanes. They gotta first take out the top tier 1, the bottom tier 1, so that they have a little bit more space for him to move around, even possibly take the opponent's jungle just to catch up on farm a little bit. Being 10k down at 10 minutes in, that's not so much that you can do, right? So with Lot being up now, I think the play you have to make here is to do a surprise Lot. Wait for your opponent to do the Lot, make sure you clear your bushes efficiently, and then make sure you don't get jumped while moving towards the Lot, and then hopefully you can get a good team fight in from there.
Right, Leomon could be in a little bit of trouble here. Gets spotted by all 4 members. Granger going in as well. Misita with the hook. Gets the easy gank as well. 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds without the Leomon. And like you mentioned, it's going to be a free lot for the side of Qifei.
Yeah, even Ruby is down on the bottom lane now, putting extra pressure down towards. So this forces teams from the blue team to actually rotate down to bottom lane, as we see here on the map. And then it's straight away just a free lot. Uncontested lot for Team Red here.
Why they're going to send the Odette as well. They realize they don't need too many members to kind of take the lot.
Yeah, I think just the Granger is enough at this point.
Right, definitely. He has to sustain as well with the Bloodlust Axe, so that's a lot of damage just on the Granger alone. We haven't counted on the Odette, the Ruby as well with the sustain, Minsita with King's Landing. So there's just so much damage on the side of Qifei that Dracarys have to deal with. On top of that, the CCs coming from Minotaur. I think DD would have been a really good pick the moment they saw Minotaur as well, especially with Time Reversal. You can, or rather with Time's Journey, you can kind of cancel out the Minotaur's ultimate. I'm not too sure how that would have played out.
As long as there's a lot of CC and in between, you definitely want to maybe look into digging into your draft.
Right, but right now, Lord taking up the first tower, but the King Spear comes in. They manage to get a kill onto the Lunox. That's going to be big, but the Lord is still up and running. Odette's ultimate runs as well. And looks like another Spear comes in. Blazing Duet comes, but not enough damage. Minori's Fairy lands onto the Claude, and they're going to be removing him. It's down to the Leomon and Arkai. But Arkai, no Hurricane dance for the next 20 seconds. Look at the burst damage on the Leomon. They take him out in an instant. Arkai going to be the only remaining member, and I'm afraid that this might be GG for game 1. Qifei walks away with a game in hand.
Wow, just having the Minotaur going, once his skill is on cooldown, one hook comes in, one hero's down, one hook comes in, another hero's down, and then just snowball off the lead alone. That's enough for them to actually just take the game from there.
Right, if you look at the, I mean, there's not really much to talk about the end game as well. It's just a story of how Qifei is just ramping up from the mid game onwards. They were a little bit slow to start with. They kind of lost the first turtle as well. I think that's well played on Dracarys' part as well. They kind of noticed the fact that turtle was up. They kind of set up for the turtle take. But then the quick reversal of, or rather the quick reversal in momentum when Qifei start to gank the side lanes was the kind of the winning factor for the red side.
Yeah. So one important key decision they actually made right there was that for the Granger to actually play in the mid lane instead of the Odette. So because of that, actually Granger got his level 4 first. He managed to move down the bottom lane, get the first snowball in, and then their first big fight was at top lane,
right?
Where they straight away got 4 heroes in from there. The Granger straight away started his snowball from there, and then from then onwards, it was a one-sided game to me.
Well, it's pretty straightforward for Qifei the moment the game kind of picked up for them. We'll probably see the team switch side. Remember, the losing side will be choosing the draft. And just your personal opinion, which side do you kind of prefer?
I wouldn't put that so much on knowing which side, but it's more of how where the turtles spawn first, and then I like to play my lanes according to where the turtle is, because that's where that's how you want to be rotating towards the first 4 minutes of gameplay.
Right, absolutely. You're gonna get the mage on down to level 4 as well to gang the side lane. So like you mentioned, it depends on where the turtle is. But in terms of draft, which side do you prefer? Like the blue or red side? Do you prefer to have the first pick or the second pick?
As of now, I don't have a very, very big opinion towards how the drafting process and everything being on the red or blue sides might work. Because to me, there's heavy emphasis on gameplay itself, right? Yeah,
it's really down to how comfortable with the draft, especially when you have the first pick. You can kind of force the Harith pick as well. Harith, I assume, is going to be 100% banned. We saw in the campus league, Harith 1v flying all of it. Even when, unstable network or connection, they managed to pick up the Mia just to kind of spy me as well. But they won with the Mia just because of Harith. The Harith just carried throughout the entirety of the game. And that kind of shows how important the Harith is. Looks like we're going to wait for the teams to come right in. But what do you take from game 1, especially with Qifei being so dominant like that?
I think maybe Team Dracarys here need to switch up their draft. Maybe a 2-tank approach might not be the way to play. I think they want to go for something more catch orientated, so that they can actually snowball. I see their team fights, because the way I see how their team fights are going right now, there is not a direct follow-up to how their team fights are going. Having the Archive together with the Johnson, sometimes they are not in sync together. You can see that the two tank players are not in sync together.
It kind of looks like the Archive wants to jump in, but then the Johnson doesn't really have the rapid touchdown.
You always have Johnson coming in first, and then Archive. I would want the Archive to come in from the back, and then once the Johnson comes in, and then you have Archive coming in from the back, and then you kind of like put them in the middle, right? But then we have Archive actually pushing the heroes away, and then the Johnson goes in, brings another hero in, straight away both of them die in the fight straight away. I think because Granger is always in such a good position, so that he never ever gets caught out.
He's just standing so far behind it.
Yeah, and then he took the flash as well. So because of that, you always don't have a situation where you can catch the Granger off guard, right?
Right, it's definitely going to be really hard to catch the Granger. But coming into game 2, we're going to be seeing, the side of Qifei. It looks like they have chosen their sides, and Dracarys has chosen to remain on the blue side. Qifei is going to still be on the red team. So for now, I'm not too sure how Dracarys can really shift the draft as well, because at the start of the game I was thinking, they have a pretty decent draft because they have the Johnson, the rapid touchdown as well, and we did mention, the Archive was farming a little bit slowly, and without the Hurricane dance, we kind of see the Minotaur just stepping up to the game with the Minions Fury. Every single time, the moment all 4 members of Dracarys managed to escape the King's Calling, Minsita's ultimate, and then suddenly the Minotaur's Fury comes in. So
we always see him catching 2 to 3 heroes.
You're caught into another heavy team CC, and it's just so hard to get out of it.
Yeah, and then we see Odette actually always having control of the team fight as well. Straight away we see Johnson. The moment Johnson comes in, we see Odette with his ulti up, because the Johnson always knocks into the tank player. Always knocks into the Minotaur mostly.
That's just good positioning by Minotaur as well, right? You're just taking the soaking up the damage, you're pulling for your opponent as well, then you can kind of position the Minsita just behind the Minotaur so that he doesn't get ultimate, and then the moment Johnson lands down, you come in with the King's Landing, you allow your Granger at the back to do damage, your Ruby's coming in to CC as well, and they're just caught in the King's Landing for so long that so much damage is done by it.
Yeah, it's just really perfect team, perfect team fights, perfect positioning as well, coming from the red team, and because of that, they just every single time the Granger is ready to spring. So I think if you're Team Blue right now, Dracarys, you want to definitely shut down the MM player for sure, because if you give him another game to just snowball off right off the start, you're not going to have a good game.
Right, absolutely. But we are